All right. Hey, good afternoon, good evening, or even good morning, depending on from where you are joining. You are warmly welcome to this Kalmar Safety Webinar. My name is Aino-Leena Juutinen. I am a digital marketing manager at Kalmar, and I will be your facilitator today. So first, a few practical things. You are all muted by default. And in case you have a question, and of course we hope you will have a lot of good questions, you can ask them by using the tool on the right side panel, and we will take a Q&A session in the end of this webinar. If it so happens that there are so many good questions that we start running out of time, we will make sure that all your questions will be answered after the session. This recording will be shared afterwards, and it will also be available as an on-demand version on Kalmar's website. Good, so those were the practical things. Let's move on to today's topic. Safety doesn't compromise productivity. For this webinar, we have selected 4 key areas we want to address today. So during this webinar, you will learn the major safety areas in cargo handling. We will give you examples on how effectively and proactively address safety issues. We will also explain the value of safety efficiency, and also give you practical tips on how you can improve safety today. So that will be our agenda. Now it's time to kick off the webinar and give the floor to our hosts. So Mette and Tobias, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Aino-Leena, for a very good introduction. Again, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. My name is Mette Kiems-Berendsen. I am responsible for the development of Kalmar's portfolio of reach stackers and empty container handlers, so mobile cargo handling equipment. I have worked at Kalmar for 4 years, and I'm focusing on a broad scope of development initiatives such as digitalization, electrification, automation, emission reductions, and safety.
Yeah, hello, and my name is Tobias Zink. I'm a sales manager at Terminal Business here in Hamburg, Germany. I started working for Kalmar in 2018, and I'm responsible for the northern, eastern, and central Germany. Mette, let's start.
Yes, again, warmly welcome to this very important webinar about safety. Today we will talk to you about Kalmar's view on safety. We will go through 4 major safety-related areas in ports and terminals. And later in the webinar, one of our customers in Germany, NKG Kala in Hamburg, will tell you about their view on safety and what actions they have taken and are taking to ensure safety efficiency. Also, a real-life example of how very small safety measures and investments can save a lot of money and health will be shared. So make sure you stay tuned. But first, we would like to share with you what Kalmar's safety vision is. And the bottom line is we want that everyone returns home safe every day. We consider everyone to be safety leaders and that everyone should take responsibility for keeping both ourselves and our colleagues safe, as well as our customers, partners, and everyone by developing safe products, services, and solutions. And even if it is obvious how important it is with safety, it can never be repeated enough what the possible consequences of potential incidents and accidents are. There's actual damage or injury to either people or material of any kind, so sick leave, damaged equipment, damaged containers and goods. And then there are all the indirect costs, such as production losses due to damaged equipment and consequential downtime, insurance liability cost or maybe premium increases, loss of shareholder confidence, and overall administration to handle incidents and accidents. Now in 2015, the insurance company TT Club did an analysis on 7,000 claims they had received over the last 5 years. And they concluded that the top 5 most costly insurance claims made by freight forwarders, logistic operators, container shipping lines, and ports and terminals were traffic accidents, handling equipment collisions, theft, fire, and cargo packing. Apart from the theft, the other 4 are all safety related, and they total $371 million over 5 years, or around $75 million per year. And this is just for one insurance company. But just to be very clear, people's safety always comes first. The cost of a life cannot be measured. Now, before we take a look at the 4 major safety-related areas in ports and terminals, let's also take a quick look at the top 10 risks categories by insurance claim cost for container terminal operators. And here we see that the top 10 account for a whopping almost 80% of all of the cost of container terminal insurance claims. And I'll just highlight some of the areas we will be talking about today. So 9% lift trucks. This includes forklifts, empty container handlers, top picks, reach stackers. And of course, risks are various, but one that stands out is injuries to pedestrians in the yard of cargo handling or in the cargo handling area. So keeping people away from machines is a simple mantra, but that's not always possible. So what else can you do? And we will come back to that. Other trucks and vehicles, so smaller vehicles could be terminal tractors or third-party trucks in the yard. Good traffic management procedures are required, otherwise there will be collisions and overturns way too often. Fires can be devastating, and of course they have various causes, but 44% of the fire cost in container terminals arises among the lift trucks. So there some fire detection and fire suppression systems are needed, but also proper maintenance, and we will get back to that as well. And then there is bad handling. So cargo can be damaged, it can be overturned when uneven loaded cargo is moved, or it can be backed into by handling equipment, but it has to be addressed. So just these 4 points account for just over 25% of all insurance claim costs in this overview, and they all involve safety. But let's dive into the major safety areas and what you can do to ensure both safety and productivity. Tobias, what's first on the agenda?
Thank you, Mette. There are many aspects of safety in cargo handling process, but for this webinar, we will take a look at 4 major areas, namely the cargo handling yard, cargo handling equipment, containers and cargo, and last but certainly not least, the people working with cargo handling. Let's get started with the yard. Yards can be small and compressed with low visibility, or big and spacey with room for driving fast. Regardless of the size and conditions, safety procedures are always required and need to be applied. This is traffic often more dangerous than cars on the road, so traffic management procedures have to be in place and have to be enforced. To have good visibility and enough room to maneuver goods is also important, but can be a challenge if space is limited. In those cases, focus on equipping the cargo handling trucks with, for instance, extra lights or reverse camera systems is important to ensure yard safety. And since cargo handling personnel have the yard as their working environment, the availability of first aid stations and heart defibrillator equipment is important, as well as training in using it. Yard conditions need to be good, as even minor damage affects safety. Imagine a 70-ton reed stacker carrying a 30-ton container hitting a pothole. That is a lot of force being put on the equipment, which, especially if the speed is too high, and we will come back later to that, can easily result in tipping of equipment, and most certainly will result in extra and unnecessary wear and tear of equipment. In the yard, it's important is that you can track both drivers' behavior as well as yard conditions and layout by monitoring shocks and overloads. Rough driving is dangerous and can cause damage to both people, and equipment. Using Kalmar's fleet management system, Kalmar Insight, you will get an overview of your yard with information about location of shocks and overloads, number of shocks and overloads, size of shocks measured in G-force. And by getting the right visualization of the data by showing not only shocks and overloads per equipment and driver, but also driving path via GPS position, you will get a clear indication of whether positions are shattered and driver related or clustered, indicating yard problems like potholes, congestion, or poor visibility. In summary, for the yard, please always make sure that traffic management procedures are in place and being enforced. First aid stations and heart defibrillator equipment is available, and clear signs make it easy and fast to find. Yard condition is being monitored and maintained. This will both ensure safer and more efficient operations, as well as reduce wear and tear of cargo handling equipment. Let's move on to probably the biggest safety-related factor, the cargo handling equipment, where we will focus on safety-related, the more mobile equipment such as empty container handlers, reed stackers, forklifts, and terminal tractors. Mette, what are the most important things to consider regarding mobile cargo handling equipment?
Yes, for the mobile equipment weighing up to 70 or 80 tons without load, for instance, for reach stackers, and moving around on a big area with lots of other heavy machines, external trucks, and people, safety cannot be stressed enough. And we want to take a closer look at 5 important safety areas related to the equipment, and that's the actual structural design. It's inspecting and monitoring the status of your equipment. It's the actual functionality and use of the mobile equipment. And then it's service and maintenance, and also upgrades of mobile equipment. For equipment structural design, you should always make sure that you are using equipment which adheres to the widest range of safety and quality norms, standards, and regulations. It might seem like a very basic thing, but these regulations cannot be overlooked, and they give you a third-party safety guarantee beyond that what manufacturers are promising. So always check and ask for the documentation showing adherence to these norms, standards, and regulations before investing in any heavy handling equipment. And also using the right parts is obviously important. No chain is stronger than its weakest link. So you could also ask for a list of major component manufacturers before investing. And as operating heavy mobile equipment is a big responsibility, it's important that all the necessary functionality to be able to operate safely but still keep high operational performance is in place. To mention all the different functionalities would take us half a day. So let's highlight some both very important but also quite basic and very easy things that make the use of mobile equipment safer. Overload protection systems indicating dangerous load situations that can avoid tipping or overturning. Load center and height limitation settings, making it impossible to handle loads in unsafe positions. Good cabin visibility. You have to be able to see the cargo being handled and also be aware of your surroundings. Tempered glass in the cabin in case something happens. The driver will not be seriously injured from crushed glass, same as what you have in cars. Powerful working and position lights, as not all terminals are able to keep lighting for all corners of the area because the containers are casting shadows. Extra working lights will increase visibility. And it's also very useful if you are operating in a terminal or port close to a residential area where there might be light restrictions during nighttime and you are operating 24/7. Clear machine and operational instructions, as you can see in the display in the slide picture. Having a clear operational instruction from the machine, for instance about overload, is key to safe operations. And it's also important that the screens can be seen in very bright sunshine conditions. Warning lights and sounds, especially for when reversing, is mandatory requirement for safe operations. And it's always good to have both visual, so it could be a flashing beacon, as well as audible warnings as the best combination. And again, if you're operating in a terminal close to a residential area, you can have what we call white noise, but you can also have the louder beeping depending on what the conditions are. Speed limitation options, as mentioned previously about yard traffic management, to reduce speed. Often you don't gain much by driving very, very fast and then you have to brake. And as an added bonus to reducing speed is that you will become more eco-efficient by reducing fuel consumption. Sun visor for operation in very sunny and warm regions of the world, both for better visibility, but also to reduce the temperature in the cabin to ensure driver comfort, and with that also driver alertness. Now, inspecting your cargo handling equipment should be a routine as common as brushing your teeth. You should do it every day. Any damages or malfunctions has to be reported as soon as possible so it can be repaired in order to ensure a safe cargo handling machine. Kalmar's fleet management system, Kalmar Insight, offers a daily inspection application where operators or others can inspect the machine in a fast and structured way. Question lists can be tailored, but there are also default question lists available, so you just have to pick the ones you need. And we've also added COVID-19 related questions for safety measures. Input can be photos, text, video, sound recordings. If you've ever tried to write how an engine sounds different, you will know that sound recordings is a gift sent from heaven. And the dedicated question sets make it easy to follow, and the information will be received in the same way independently of who's using it. All the findings are available in a user interface where the necessary action can be taken, problems can be prioritized, they can be tracked, and they can be closed once they're completed. This offers you a way to get an efficient way to monitor fleet condition, and you will get rid of all the small manual notes left in pockets here and there, or that issues are reported to different people and in different formats, making them incomparable for further analysis. This will help you streamline the communication and save a lot of time while improving the operational safety of your machines. We all know we have to service and maintain the equipment and that it's important for safety, because faulty equipment is not reliable and it can give you a false sense of security if the damages or malfunctions are not detected in time. But we also know that downtime is not good for productivity. So how can we minimize productivity impact while ensuring a safe and reliable fleet? You can do that by monitoring the equipment remotely and then proactively plan the required service and maintenance. Again, using Kalmar's fleet management system, Kalmar Insight, you'll be able to monitor your entire fleet service status by having an overview of the running hours. And therefore, you'll know when the next service is due. And as just mentioned in the previous slide, the results from the daily inspections will be there as well, so you'll have everything in one overview. By knowing the actual running hours and the estimated time left before required service is needed, the calendar will suggest possible service slots that can be matched against planned incoming goods and productivity requirements. This will allow you to plan for service downtime with the least possible operational impact and ensure an always safe fleet of machines. And you don't even have to keep an eye on it. The system will automatically inform you or your maintenance manager when it is time to start planning. So the right information at the right time to the right people. And last but certainly not least, upgrading equipment is always a good thing in order to keep it up to date and with the most valuable functionality. As we saw in one of the first slides about insurance claims, 44% of the fire cost in container terminals arises among lift trucks. They need fire detection and fire suppression systems in the engine compartments. And in case this is missing from your existing fleet, you have the opportunity to upgrade. And three other important things of which we've already talked about, two regarding yard safety, reverse warning system with camera. This gives the operator overview when reversing and warns the people in the surroundings. And as every pick and drop involves reversing, this is a very valuable functionality that can increase safety, it can save time, improve ergonomy of the driver, and with that increase productivity. Speed limitation settings, so it can set the maximum speed limit for equipment in various conditions to reduce risk of accidents caused by overspeeding. It can be the overall driving speed, speed with load, speed when load is at certain height, and as mentioned, it will reduce your fuel consumption as well, making you more eco-efficient. Seatbelt interlock keeps both the driver and the surroundings safe by restricting the equipment operation until the seatbelt has been buckled up. So no seatbelt, no driving or no operations. Summarizing cargo handling equipment safety, you should always make sure that your equipment adheres to the industry safety norms, standards, and regulations. Order or install the necessary functionality to operate safely while keeping high operational performance. Make sure you do daily inspections of your fleet to detect damages or operational faults in time. Perform service and maintenance with a proactive approach that will prevent faulty equipment and minimize unscheduled downtime. And retrofit necessary safety options to existing fleet so that all machines are equally safe in your terminal in order to operate your entire fleet as safe as possible. And as we know, the mobile equipment is handling containers and goods. What should we focus on there, Tobias?
Yes, Mette. Cargos and containers often fall between two chairs, as it is difficult for all to check the container and almost impossible to know who's responsible for any damage. But that is never an excuse for not making sure that the container you're handling is in a safe condition in itself, or that the load is neither exceeding the limit nor stored in a dangerous way. So let's briefly review three possible solutions that can help you with this. The empty container handler container check solution, the ReedStacker solar solution, and the ReedStacker load eccentricity overview. Container inspection is an important process to guarantee an uninterrupted logistic flow. However, container damage is inevitable and can happen at any stage of shipping, and often container owners or shipping companies end up paying for the costs even when it's not their fault. But most importantly, the risk of lifting, moving, and driving with an up to 45 tons laden container that is damaged. This is why it is of utmost importance to inspect containers. But one side of the container is very difficult and dangerous to access, the undercarriage. For that, Kalmar has developed a container checker function for our empty container handlers, which allows you to lift and lock the container in a safe and ergonomically good position, which allows you to effectively inspect all sides and parts of containers. By inspecting and reporting damages, you will ensure safer cargo handling for both your own and the entire industry cargo handling operations. And it will allow you to avoid damage claims from others by having documentation on your inspections and the state of the container while in your care and responsibility. On the 1st July 2016, the International Maritime Organization, IMO, enforced the scope of the new Safety of Life at Sea, SOLAS, which aims to increase safety at sea. The SOLAS Verified Gross Mass Convention covers standard sea freight containers, tank containers, flat wrecks, and bulk containers. They all must be weighed before being loaded onto a ship, as knowing the accurate gross mass of a packed container ensures correct storage and stacking, avoid collapse of container stacks and loss overboard, can save lives, and prevent injury and destruction of property. This means that the container can only be loaded onto a ship if it can deliver a SOLAS verified gross mass, which consists of the gross weight of the container weight with an accuracy of ±2%, the container or load ID, a timestamp with date and time of the day. While the SOLAS requirements only apply to containers loaded onto ships, Kalmar's weighing solution can be used for all types of loads, as knowing exactly what you are handling is an important part of safe handling. Shifting cargo and uneven weight distributions are some of the most common causes of cargo damage and can even cause damage to cargo handling equipment and people. By monitoring the load eccentricity of laden containers and trailers, you can ensure that you side shift the reach stacker spreader to a safe handling position or report the container or trailer as unfit for transportation until repacking has been done, thus preventing damage and accidents. So, to summarize safer handling of containers and goods, make sure that you inspect all sides of containers to see if there are damages if you are an empty container terminal. If you're loading ships, make sure to adhere to the SOLAS requirements of accurately weighed containers. And know that goods shifting during transport can be badly packed, so using load eccentricity will keep you safe. But Mette, where would the cargo handling industry be without the people making it all happen?
Yes, not much would be possible without the people. And in this context, people are very soft and fragile compared to the big, heavy trucks. At Kalmar, we love people, and naturally we want to keep people safe. So let's take a look at how to ensure people safety while also ensuring productivity. We all know the industry uniform, and we wear it with pride, as we know how important it is to be visible as well as protected. So safety vest as minimum safety clothing, there are the safety shoes, helmets, and this year COVID-19 precautions like face masks and gloves. But do you also have safety reminders in the lunchroom, changing rooms, and in the machines? Safety can never be repeated enough, and reminders, routines, and practices that become an automatic part of your workday is the best way to ensure safety while minimizing operational impact. Let it become a second nature in all working environments and operational practices. Sometimes routine is not enough, and for areas such as first aid, CPR, or fire handling, training people is needed. And also, as mentioned before, having clearly signed first aid stations and heart defibrillators in the terminal or yard will make it easier to find. And coming back to fire, do all of your drivers know how to use a fire extinguisher on the truck? or on cargo, on people? Because it differs. So if not, please make sure that they do. And any equipment is only as safe as the person operating it. I'm sitting here in Sweden, the land of Volvo, probably named as the world's safest car. But accidents happen on the roads with Volvo cars every day because it depends on the person handling it. And that's why it's important to ensure the safest working environment and operating functionalities in cargo handling equipment as well. We've mentioned a few of these before, but as I just said, safety cannot be repeated enough. Ensure seatbelt usage so that the equipment doesn't operate to its fullest if the seatbelt is not buckled. Lowering those maximum speeds, most of the time they are not needed. It doesn't make you faster because you need to brake and accidents might happen. Reverse warning systems with both sounds and light alerts to make your surroundings aware of a reversing mobile equipment. And window screens in sunny regions to give better visibility and make it more comfortable for the driver. And as drivers have the cabin, as you could say, their daily office and working environment, make sure that they can get there safely by having safe access steps and handrails, if not already part of the truck. Good driver seats and ergonomy in the cabin, as well as a clutter-free cabin. You can do that by keeping extra screens and laptops placed in good positions that doesn't obscure visibility or operability. Big displays with clear, intuitive user interface. And in summertime or year-round hot climate, air condition and sun visor to improve comfort as well as visibility, and heater in the colder climates. And why not, as an extra motivational bonus, actively monitor and reward safe operating behavior. You can set a list of safety key performance indicators, review what the status is today, set and communicate a target level and time frame, and let everyone know how their driving behavior changes are impacting the target. I think a lot of drivers don't know how safe or unsafe their driving is. It's difficult to get the feedback to them. And although you could say a safer working environment is a reward in itself, a small bonus or recognition is most likely always welcome as well. And then there's driver training, and we know it's not easy to address operators who might have been driving cargo handling equipment for most of their lives and start telling them that they have to start doing things differently. But there is a lot of driving techniques that will both improve safe driving as well as reduce wear and tear, which can also be a safety issue of the machines. And you can do it without compromising productivity or performance. And in most cases, you can even improve productivity. Now, training can be done in many different ways with either hands-on training courses, which might be limited in these COVID-19 times, but hopefully that will change soon. Or it can be done through online webinars or self-study e-learning courses. So in essence, for people safety, keep your people safe by having safety-aware and safety routines in place. Ensure the right functionality in the cargo handling equipment for your specific cargo handling requirements. And train your people to be able to handle incidents and accidents and any safety-related situations, such as knowing first aid and CPR if anyone gets injured or suffers a heart attack, and also train them on how to handle fire situations. So, Tobias, this was our view on safety measurements to initiate for cargo handling operations and the value we see that it can have But you actually have the pleasure of meeting up with one of our German customers who really has safety at heart.
Yes, thank you, Mette. Yes, I visited NKG Carla. NKG Carla was founded in 1956, and today they are the world's leading specialists in green coffee. Their customers include global players such as Nestle, Starbucks, Chibo, and Sögers. And all their customers have one thing in common. They want to know their valuable product is in a good and safe hands. So let's take a look.
My name is Christian Timm and I'm Deputy Managing Director of the NKG Keller in Hamburg, a service company for green coffee. Many people love coffee. Very less people know the steps from planting, from harvesting until it is roasted and smells perfectly in the cup. We are only a small piece in this supply chain, but we try our best to keep all aspects on our management in this process. And Kalmar is one of the best, so we decided very early to speak with one of the best, of course. Work safety, logistic company like ours is on the agenda on top number one. We have little space in here and the driver should know I'm in a safe place and I have all these features in my cabin to give me a last warning and stop all when a not knowing worker is passing by.
Also persönlich würde ich sagen, die Rückfahrkamera ist sehr, sehr wichtig, da sie teilweise Gefahren erkennt, bevor der Fahrer sich selber reagieren. Also wenn der Hof wirklich voll ist und die LKW sich stauen teilweise, dann würde ich sogar gar nicht mehr ohne die Sicherheitseinrichtung fahren. Weil gerade als Fahrer hat man hier und da manche Probleme, wirklich jeden Winkel zu begutachten und dafür helfen die Sicherheitsmaßnahmen doch wirklich gewaltig.
You may have the best tool, but without well-trained drivers, it is only the halfway. We try to train our drivers very hard in maintaining as well as in efficiency driving. And Kalmar offers us a very good tool with it. We try to keep all vehicles in a best standard. It is a real value which you offer to the second-hand market. And between that and the offer, there are many hours and days when you call Kalmar and ask them for solving a small or a huge problem. And I think, yeah, we have a good partner on our side.
Yes, this was music to my ears at least. Mr. Timm really shows us the true value of safety and proves the point of safety efficiency. But Tobias, you also have another example regarding safety, however, quite the contrary to what we have just seen.
Yes, Mette, I do have. Here is the picture. So first and the most important, the driver is alive and back at work, and he's okay. But yeah, what happened here is a standard situation. The driver picks a container in the force and started driving fast before lowering the container. Then the truck crossed the way and the reach stacker had to brake, and the result is on this picture. So we have damaged and lost good 15,000 euros. Damage of the equipment, 55,000 euros. Yard cleanup, only 2,500 euros. And this is why they were lucky not to get oil become into the water. Productivity loss, it took 3 weeks to get road permission to bring another reed sticker to the customer, because this customer only had one machine on this yard. And the driver injury, it took 3 weeks that the driver could come back to work. So this was easy if they had speed limitation outside transport mode for 500 euros, that this will never happen again. So yeah, there we are at the end of the webinar, and I hope that you can feel that we have a passion for our industry and take safety very, very seriously.
Indeed, we do. And we want that everyone returns home safe every day. As a conclusion to this webinar, we would really like to highlight that you should never, ever compromise on safety. You just saw an example of an accident with substantial monetary as well as health consequences. It's never worth it, and you never know when an accident might happen, but you can always prepare for it. And possible safety issues are all around us in the cargo handling industry, in the terminal or yard, and when people are operating the equipment, moving around, and the containers and goods. And safety is like a fresh commodity. It requires constant monitoring, evaluation, and updating. Never let your guard down thinking you are safe. We're working in a busy industry and high productivity is constantly required, but take the time and money to focus on safety. The investment required is so very small compared to the operational gains and the people care. You just saw a perfect example of that. Working with and applying safety proactively and constantly will allow you to become more productive while keeping the highest safety levels. So based on what we've showed you today and what you have heard from one of our customers, we really hope that you agree with us that safety doesn't compromise productivity.
Good, thank you, Mette and Tobias. I think it's now time to move on to the Q&A session, and we have received some questions, so I think that we should go right away to the questions. And actually, the very first one is something that I can even answer. From Florida, someone is asking if they can receive a copy of the recorded presentation afterwards, and the answer is yes, you will all receive it. But now I think that the next questions are more likely to Mette and Tobias. So first question, you talk a lot about the cost, but I would assume that everyone in our business is insured so that they are covered for the repairs.
Yes, I also hope that people are insured, but you always have that liability cost. And I talked to a Swedish customer who said they had 2,500 euros as a minimum. And there are a lot of damages below that amount. And even with the bigger incidents, you still have to pay that money. So if you just have 10 incidents, or hopefully not accidents, but incidents every year, that's 25,000 euros. And most of that, I can almost guarantee, could have been prevented with these small measures that we have gone through today. So it's not that you're covered for the big catastrophic expensive accidents, but it's also the smaller things, and that's just cost. Always think about the people, that people can get hurt.
Good. All right, moving on. Doesn't everyone have all the necessary safety precautions in their machine? Or doesn't everyone already have them?
Too often, our recommended safety options are neglected or discarded when buying new equipment, as many customers want to get the price as low as possible. However, we strongly disagree with this and always try to show the bigger picture of safety, efficiency, and total cost of ownership savings when it's come to that.
Good. All right. Next is that you were in the presentation showing a picture with the containers inspection. So could you please confirm if it is actually safe to make an inspection below the unit?
Yes, that's
Yes.
the whole point of the of the solution. And you actually have that machine in Germany, Tobias, right?
Yes, it was me on this picture who was standing under this container. So absolutely yes. If this container check device is activated, the driver can't move the hydraulics, and the whole machine is blocked. So and when he shuts off the system, you get a noise as a warning that you have to move, and then after this the machine can be moved. So this is safe, and you are safe when you are checking this container. Otherwise I wouldn't make a step under this.
We have picture proof.
Yes, yes, and it was
Right.
me.
All right, good. Okay, next question. Someone is asking that the system presented, is there a machine age limit? Thinking of the stability, sway, and speed limitation. So I believe it's about, is it about insights or?
Yeah, speed limitation. I guess it's about to what how old models, which old models can be retrofitted with certain options.
True.
And we can. It's difficult to go through the entire list and generations of equipment, but we can make a note of including that in the material to be sent out.
All right, very good. Then someone is asking that can these shocks that you mentioned be programmed on a Kalmar? Because they have a feeling that different intensity shocks are registered by their various DRGs, and that's sometimes a false alarm.
Mm-hmm. You can, I mean, it will come with default settings, and we actually have 3 different levels. So you could say green, yellow, red levels of G shocks to be registered, and those are configurable. So if you know that you have a rough yard, you should have it a bit higher with more tolerance than a new, smooth, just paved terminal. So that is configurable, as we don't want it to give any false alarms. It has to be set on an individual level to be adaptable to the specific conditions. So definitely it's configurable.
Good. Then another practical question that could you confirm if a safe belt, or I guess seat belt, can be changed by other side, like of the car? Sorry, like in a car, I guess this is the question. If you can change the side of the seat belt.
So I guess depending on whether it's right side driving or left side driving.
Yes, and it's depending on the seat. So some manufacturers offers this and some not. So we have to check which seat is mounted, if it's possible or not.
All right. Good. And then I think we have still time for one more question. So, so how to get Kalmar Fleet Management System? Is it provided upon equipment purchase?
Yes, it is. You have to buy a subscription to it, but I mean, by default, we have it in all our machines. And then it's just a matter of deciding for how many years you want the subscription, and you will get material on how to use the system, training if you want, and you will be up and running to get the reporting that you need, the overviews that you need, so that it will save you time and give you the right information to the right people at the right time.
Good. Okay, and maybe still one final question. What are the typical accidents that have been found in container terminals around the globe?
I don't have specific statistics on more than what I just showed you in the beginning, but talking to a lot of customers, some have said that it's almost 50% of all incidents and accidents that they happen when reversing. So backing into hopefully mainly goods or other equipment more than people, but reversing, because it's a big machine and it might be limited overview of the yard or where you're going, and people are small compared to these big machines if it is reach stackers. So something like that, reversing would be the biggest problem.
Good. Okay, I think that we are now running out of time. So thank you so much for joining, and still for your information that you will receive the presentation and recording by email after this webinar during this week, not today necessarily, but in a few days. And this recording with the presentation will also be available on our website later on. So thank you so much for joining, and be safe and have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.